the revolution is spreading. We can do it in New York City, we can do it anywhere. Things have been going great. The crowds are getting bigger. The campuses are responding. The ideas of liberty are alive and well, and they're very popular. You know, it's a real complex message. You know, freedom works a lot better than tyranny. The Constitution ought to be obeyed, and that means that we ought to remove a lot of from the U.S. Congress and. An indication that we ought to be able to eliminate a lot of the other candidates on both sides running You know, it is true that the war has been a big issue, and I've been arguing against that for a long, long time. It rather annoyed me in 1998 when we did set the standard to get rid of Saddam Hussein and have regime change. But what really annoyed me is when I brought up the subject in 2002 when they were preparing to go to war. I said, you know what, folks, you're not supposed to go to war unless you declare it. And you know what they told me? They said that was a frivolous idea and that we no longer looked at that. But there's something significant going on in this country today, if not the whole world, because I think that a lot of people are coming to the realization that the current status quo won't be maintained. We cannot maintain the system. It's financially incapable of existing. The dollar is doomed to fail. That's why we need a new standard of money. We need to get rid of the Federal Reserve System. It's been a long time since any presidential campaign dealt with the money issue. And this year I was rather surprised, pleasantly so, that even on all the college campuses when I bring it up, it gets the loudest applause. And even the other night when we were at the University of Michigan, after I mentioned the Federal Reserve note, lo and behold, and I'm not suggesting this, but lo and behold, there were several people in the crowd that took out $1 bills and lit them up. So that is not a complex issue because people say you can't talk about the money issue because it's too complicated. But, you know, is counterfeiting hard to understand? You know, it's rather simple. You print a lot of money, the value goes down, and we have problems. But the deceitfulness of the monetary system is such is that it permits them to borrow in the future, fight wars they shouldn't be fighting, pretending that they can take care of everybody through a welfare system. At the same time, spend us into bankruptcy, and young people know this, they're sick and tired of it, and they want a better deal. So to get our house in order, it's very simple. Bring all the troops home. Not just from the Middle East, but from Europe and Korea and every place else. We don't need an empire. The empire has taken us into bankruptcy, and the bills are coming due, and that's what this story is all about today. The dollar is crashing on international exchange market. It's a very, very serious financial and political problem. So we have a great deal of work to do, but I tell you what, the time is right. The people are aware of this. The solutions are not that difficult. Not that difficult because all we have to do is just respect the rule of law, obey the Constitution, and get rid of all the unconstitutional activities that this government has been participating in. The great thing about the freedom movement is the crowds that we get tend to be very diverse. And I can't see the crowd tonight, but I'll bet you the crowd is rather diverse out here. We might even have some Republicans here, we don't know. have a few independents out there. And a few people who have been turned off and dropped out of the system. And just a few people who never were in the system before. And we might even have some Democrats here tonight. But then again, there may even be a few anarchists here, and that's okay. Now, this is the magnificent thing about freedom. It brings people together because we're not competitive. We have responsibility for ourselves. We have a right to our life, our liberty. We have a right to pursue our happiness, and we ought to have the right to keep all of the fruits of our labor. Which means we put high on the agenda of getting rid of the IRS and repealing the 16th Amendment. But this again does put the responsibility on us. We're to take care of ourselves. We're to depend on self-reliance. We're supposed to help our fellow man and take care of our families and take care of ourselves. And the magnificent part about this is what produces the greatest prosperity ever known to man. Just let people alone. Get the government off our backs and out of our way. You know, I have to admit, campaigning is a tough job. It's hard work. There's a lot of traveling and a lot of downside to it. The uplifting side is to meet people like you. But you know, the truth is, being president would probably be a lot easier. Because I don't want to run your lives, I don't want to run the economy, and I don't want to run the world to make the job easier. You know, in contrast to freedom, which is that of tolerance, allowing people to live their own lives as they choose and allowing everybody to spend their own money and nobody's judgmental and we just leave people alone. In contrast to socialism and welfareism, the government takes everything from us and then they take it to Washington, and then when they go down to Washington and fight over it, create all the special interests. Then production goes down, there's a shrinking pie, and they fight over the crumbs. And this is what's happening. I think people are becoming aware of it, that this can't last, that the prosperity we have today is based on borrowed money, depending on borrowing from places like China and Japan, and that we know this is going to end, and I think this is why there's such a receptive ear to the message. And to me it's very exciting, because not only were there a lot more people well informed and anxious to hear this message and anxious to work for it, but the young people who had not heard it before are rallying, they love it, and boy do they know how to spread the message. There is this little tool called the internet. All of a sudden it gets on the internet and everybody knows what's going on. You know, just yesterday I was informed and I heard that there's now over 1,000 meetup groups in the campaign. You know, not only is the message of liberty popular in all the states and all the cities in this country, that there's actually 22 other countries who are interested in the message of liberty. So this is very, very encouraging, because the rallies are getting bigger and everybody's interested in what's happening. And of course the one rule I have, and I guess I don't even have to advise you here because it sounds like you've already accomplished this, but if you are involved and you're going to work hard and you're going to go out and campaign and raise money and do all the things necessary if we're going to have a successful campaign, the one rule I have is have fun doing it.